I failed 4 years before I became profitable in trading. Not only that, I actually failed 20 challenges before I got my first payout. And one of the things is a lot of you guys aren't willing to fail for a period of time to learn the lessons to become profitable in the trading craft. And the maddest thing is, okay, yes, we want to be profitable. Yes, you want to be profitable as fast as possible. Yes, you want to make all the money in the world. But that is not actually the end goal. The end goal is actually being consistent. The end goal is actually living the dream of retiring your family members. The end goal is actually the true meaning of what money can provide. It's not what money is to do, for example, buy the cars and the watches and all that thing. Yes, of course, these materialistic things are great. However, it's more about putting food on the table for our loved ones, letting our kids have a better life than we did when we were younger, and more importantly, doing it by a trade or a trait. So a trade for trading, right? A skill set or a profession where we generally love what we do and we do what we love. And that's what we call true freedom. Doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, and how you want. That is true freedom. That is my message from me to you. And in today's video, what I want to talk about is the whole journey of how I failed for 4 years before becoming profitable, and that each year was very different in failing, and that what did profitability really truly mean, and more importantly, what stage are you at and how can you relate to this. And if you are unprofitable in trading, this video is for you to learn from my mistakes and get there quicker. And in this day and age with YouTube and the content out there, look, you don't have to buy every single course out there. Look, you don't have to actually go and take every single content out there, but there are videos like this giving you examples and experiences of that individual, for example me, of all the things that happened in those 4 years, so you can learn from them, you can hear our experiences, and it's all for free. So without further ado, let's get it. What's happening, guys? Dan Chung here, aka Champ, currently on a flight, and I wanted to make one of these videos which we call the Unfiltered series, where we call it like a me to you. And it took me 4 years to become profitable, as the title says and what we said at the start of the video. But these 4 years was probably the hardest years of my life mentally to some degree. And I think that you guys can definitely understand this to some degree, is that you do everything in your power, absolutely everything in your power, but you can't seem to get it right. And that's where trading is probably one of the most hardest and most painfulest profession. And what does that mean? Well, it can be, we can do everything right but not get rewarded. We can take an A+ setup and still lose the trade, which is insane if you think about it. Whereas we have been taught from school, from sports, and from competitiveness, the more we put in and the more effort we do, we will get a result. We will win a game, we'll be better, we'll perform better. Ultimately, the results will yield. But in trading, it's the complete opposite. And it's one of the hardest subconscious things that we have to train over a period of time, is to accept that we will do the best that we can and still lose money. Now, let's talk about the first year. The first year was probably one of the best times in trading, because that's when you make a little bit of money. You learn that, oh my gosh, like cool, like this £5 can be made by just clicking a few buttons. You can literally just sit at home, you get all of this buzz, something new, and then you learn. That was my first year. I generally really enjoyed it. And you're learning the markets, the fundamentals, why they move, how they move. You make a lot of mistakes and you learn from them. You don't really journal, because I was just literally just trading, finding new strategies, and more talking about more than new strategies. I actually just tried to find ways that worked more and was more consistent. And more importantly, I was actually finding different fundamental factors that would move the market. That was my first year. Then I opened an account, I had like £500 in it. I lost it in that year, but I kind of had a inclined feeling that I would lose that £500, but I used it as a learning curve. You can see it as I bought a course, but the course was me to me. And I think that that's probably one of the best investments you can make, is to invest in yourself. Now, the second and third year was a bit rough. Now, the second and third year was rough because this is where I generally saw the strategy work. I saw my mentor have the strategy work as well. But more importantly, I think that it was rough in the sense that I couldn't make it work. And that was so tough. And I find that a lot of people sit within this realm for X amount of time. For me, it was around 2 and a bit years, realistically and truly, like being stuck in this rut. And it would be things like, before prop firms were around about, I had a personal account, right? So I'd put a £500, £1,000, or even sometimes even just £150 trying to make £5. Didn't have a lot, but I was just trying to do what I can. And essentially doing this led me to not really see the bigger picture. And I think that's probably one of the biggest problems with having a small account. You're trying to turn 500 into a living. You're trying to turn £500 or a small account into a salary or even multiple figures, where realistically, even if you do, it's not sustainable. Now, you can turn £500 into 100,000 if you're on a win streak and you're lucky and you compound and you get a huge movement. But sustainable wise and consistently, you can't do that every day in the market. And even if you do, what happens is it then ruins your expectation of trading. So realistically, what you really want to be doing is actually trading slowly, getting a consistent compound of winning on that account, and then adding money to it. So that's probably something that I would add to those people who are in that second and third year phase, where they're constantly trying to increase the volume of their trading, seeing a tiny bit of wins, but just keep going all over the place. And this is where I went wrong, is that I would make all these gains. I would do 3 months of really good £5, £10, and then I'd get overconfident and try and risk it all to try and flip the account that I've turned 500 into, say, 2,000 or something, to try and turn that 2,000 into 20,000, because you think you know it all, you have the holy grail, you're trying to turn the account into something substantial. Then you start going on Auto Trader and these websites, just thinking of all the things you can buy because you kind of think you kind of figured it all out. And I know we've all been there. So if you can shorten it, I'd give you some tips. And some of these tips in that second and third year is to, number one, journal. Not only journal, is to do more of what you're doing right and less of what you're doing wrong. I journal, but on pen and paper. I wish I did a daily report card earlier. I wish I did my to-do list earlier, and I wish I had my playbook. Now, another thing that I considered, wish I did earlier as well, was the fact that I could compound my account, add more money into it weekly, or I guess right now, one of the best things in the market is you have prop firm accounts. Prop firm accounts, you can do 50,000 for $500. You could buy a 100k account, and if you have the skill set and you can compoundly do it over a period of time, you could literally get like a $10,000 to $20,000 payout, which is exactly where 20 challenges I failed. I can't remember how much that costed me, but I did over 100k in payouts the following year after. So that paid for all the challenges. And even right now, this year, if you're following me, I've been doing this whole challenge of trying to get to 3 million funded and $1 million in payouts. I spent $3,000 to $4,000 on my first stint. I lost a lot of challenges, but now 2 payouts have already covered all the cost of that. Not only has that covered all the cost of that, now I'm in the net profit. I'm just going to use that money and funnel it into the personal account. And then what I'm going to do is get that personal account audited for you guys to teach, to set you guys an example. So in that second and third year, you guys can basically really expedite that by using prop firms. They give you really strict rules as well, which I love, because in the personal account, you don't have rules. If you break them, there are no repercussions. The only repercussions you have is you just lose money. Whereas the repercussions in a prop firm account is you breach, and then you lose the sign-up fee and all these other things that come with it, and then you end up really thinking, oh man, I should really take this challenge more seriously. And that's exactly what happened to me. So that's the second and third year. So the second and third year was the hardest years, because mentally you're going around in circles. You have the strategy, you just can't make it profitable. You are doing everything you think you're doing right, and you're still losing trades, but you can't accept losing them. You can go and tilt, you make all of these psychological mistakes, and also you make a lot of these really deep mistakes, like sitting there just blowing the accounts. Like, I remember just the worst one was growing the account to £3,000. £3,000, that took me 3 months. And then in one day, I blew it all. I don't care what anyone has to say on social media. Oh my God, he can't trade. Of course I couldn't trade. I was still learning then. And everyone goes through that. Like, why are we so quick to bash on people and bash on people when they're down? This is part of the journey. This is part of the course. This is part of the content in YouTube, and why I love what I do and do what I love, and why our team, it has grown so much, so we can create content right now to speak to people like you who are watching, who are really, really feeling this message, to understand that you just need to keep going. That is part of the process, but it's part of your path where God is teaching you to learn the skill that you've asked for. Remember, if you ask God for £1 million or $1 million, he's not going to give you the money, boom, like that. He's going to give you trials and tribulations that you can overcome to have the skill set to be able to make that $1 million. And listen, once you have that skill, you have it for life. And that's one of the biggest things I say. So I really genuinely want to say this as well. Like, someone today has just got their first funded account on Funded Next, but this is just one of many stories from our course. And for £299, I don't care what anyone says, £299, that's less than a 100k challenge. That is less than blowing your account 100-fold. But for £299, there is a condensed course that I've made for 30 hours, my strategy, everything, that teaches you A to Z. And now I'm not telling you have to buy mine, but what I'm trying to tell you is you've got to shift your mindset to try and learn from these people and learn from these mistakes and learn as fast as you can to get to the end goal as fast as you can. And you've got to be willing to do whatever it takes. And you've got to ask yourself, what are you willing to do for that? How much are you willing to pay for that? And I just think it's obscene that nowadays that people was like, oh, I don't want to buy a course. Course is a scam or something like that. Well, hold on. The same people who think a course is a scam are the people who think university is going to go and make them $100,000. How does that even make sense? Anyway, coming back onto that, so the second and third year, that's where the struggle happened. The fourth year was the revelation. And the fourth year was the revelation of what I call the compound effect. And if you may or may not have seen, I love talking about the compound effects. But I find that everyone has their breakthrough. And that breakthrough starts with something that just goes aha and clicks. And what that aha and clicked was the compound effect. And what that said to me is, if I could literally just make £5 or $5 a day for the whole year, that's it, 5, and it doesn't matter if I win, lose, just 5, just move on, 5, one trade, if it could be 1 win or 2 losses, and I'll do it in each session. Now I trade only 1 session, but back then I was trading 2 sessions. If I can do that, realistically, that is more than enough money. Another thing I thought to myself is, every day the market gives an opportunity, yes or no? Yes. Can I make 5 days in the markets every day? If I took, if I was lucky enough to take every single trade perfectly, could I make $5? Yes or no? Yes. So that was the idea I had, and I consistently did that. And yes, there were losing days, yes, there were losing period, but I did it over a period of time. More importantly, over 3 months, that account grew, and it really gave me the confidence that was net positive to keep trading. The 4th month was a losing month, but here's the best part, and this is where I generally constitute myself as profitable, is the 5th month was then profitable, then the 7th month, and I had 1 more losing month. So in the whole year, I had 2 losing months and 10 winning months, but I was net up overall. And that's how it's been ever since. I've always had around 2 losing months throughout the whole year, and that's where profitability comes. It's not about being profitable today. It's not about being profitable just for the week. It's about being profitable in your career and over in the long run. And everything you spent in the past, you've made more money, and that is net up. It's a business at the end of the day. It's the same thing. How much money have you made? How much money are you up by? And what is the percent increase? And what is your skill increase? And what is you as a person, as a human, as a man increase and has become? So my final message to you is that believe in yourself, forget the haters, use the haters as fuel, and I hope that this video really blows up to help a lot of people in that struggling phase so they become the trader they said they would be. So trader to trader, I believe in you, make it happen. The struggle is what's going to make you, not break you. You make the decision on which one that comes. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Champ out. Peace.